Okay, so this video is titled How to Look Good in 5 Easy Steps. So you're probably thinking, oh my god, she's going to put on makeup and make herself look not dead. No, that's not what's gonna happen, because I want to talk about self-esteem, which is something that I always had trouble with because it's a thing that affects us all. And people can be mean, people can be ruthless, especially in school, and that affects you and really well into your adult life. Like things that I was self-conscious at the age of 12, 13, I still am, and that was almost 10 years ago. So how to get self-esteem? That's like the hardest thing, I feel like, because your own mind plays tricks at you. You look at yourself and you're just like, ew. But you're not ew. And it's kind of retraining your brain, is retelling yourself, like, here's what I did, essentially. When I was younger, I had horrible self-esteem. I used to think I was a monster. I couldn't look at myself in mirrors. I wore baggy clothes. It was this whole thing, right? And so, I got made fun of for a lot of different things because life. And so, what I would do is every day I would look in the mirror. I would force myself to look myself in the mirror and be like, you know what? You have a good smile. You look really pretty today. Your eyes are pretty, you know, and just compliment myself. And it's kind of like retraining your brain to be like, oh, I'm not that horrible. And it's hard. It's not like, you know, oh, done and settled, it's all good, let's go back to who we were. I mean, who we were meant to be or whatever. It's not like that. Now, makeup is a great thing. It really is. But the bad thing about not makeup per se, just how you use it. Now, when I was younger, I would cake on makeup because I had horrible self-esteem, like I just said. And so I thought like that would help it. And it didn't. Because it's not a thing, it's not a physical thing, it's a mental thing. And so as I grew up, I would start using makeup to, you know, just use makeup to like enhance something, to, you know, just stuff like that. But the bad thing is that there was a moment that I noticed that when I was using makeup and I stopped, I was like, oh my god, I look ugly. And then I was like, whoa, not good. So I stopped using makeup because I think there are bad repercussions sometimes to using makeup not for the right reason. And I think it depends on each person to kind of step back and evaluate themselves and why they're using makeup. And so when I saw that I was using it for the wrong reasons, I stopped using makeup, because your face is your face and you shouldn't have to, you know, add things to make it better in your eyes. And so I think it's important to discuss makeup, because sometimes people love to go one side or the other, like one extreme to the other, like, oh, you know, let people wear all the makeup they want, it's fine. And like I made this a little huger than the other one, and that is really good in theory, but there are little girls who are caking on makeup, like Instagram makeup, at the age of 12 and 13, and I don't know what that it's about. Like, I don't know the mental or not physical. Well, through physical, I mean their skin might be more affected because of the amount of makeup they're using at such a young age and for how long they're wearing it. But I don't know like the mental repercussions, because I know that, for example, there was this whole thing about Snapchat dysmorphia, because a lot of surgeons were getting like girls coming into their like surgery places and bringing them like a Snapchat filter photo, being like, that's how I want to look. And I'm not gonna lie, it happened to me. You know, I would only want to take selfies with the Snapchat filters because I was like, because it does make your skin super smooth, it like reforms your like jawline, enlarges your eyes, like it makes you more, I guess, traditionally appealing. And so I had to like stop. I think the important thing is when you notice yourself, sorry, I don't know if you can hear me. The important thing is that I think you should notice yourself and kind of see how you're reacting to certain things, and go from there. and just be like, you know what, even though it is good to wear makeup, and all power to women and men who wear like huge beautiful makeup and make it look good, but you should be aware that there's people who wear makeup not for the right reasons, and it could be detrimental to their health later on. Now, I messed that up. No! Okay, so this one looks that way, and this one looks that way. I don't know, I'm gonna fix that. Can I just like, whoop? By the way, don't recommend doing this because you're gonna get wrinkles at a young age if you do this. Now, tip two. Sounds like I'm saying tiptoe. Tip 2 to how to look beautiful is really hard to deconstruct what people have been telling you for a really long time. Now, I'm gonna be honest. I have hair on my arm. You can tell it, you can look at it, you can see it, it's there. But for a really long time, people would tell me that that was a masculine trait, that I looked like a guy because I had that. No, that is completely false. I did the same thing. But it's very hard to, kind of reevaluate yourself when you have these like voices telling you like, oh, but people said this and people thought this, and it's hard, and I used to bleach this hair, not like, it's not blonde, you couldn't see it, I mean you could see it up close, but I would bleach it, and there was a point where I was like, this can't be healthy for my skin, this has to have, wow, it doesn't look that bad. This has to have like repercussions, and so I stopped doing it, and I was like, I told myself, you know what, I'm gonna force myself to love them, I'm gonna force myself to like them, because that's gonna be on my skin for years and stuff, so we're just gonna do it. And I'm 23, and I decided to love them at the age of 16, 17, and I still have a hard time. I still get self-conscious, especially in photos and videos. If I'm going like this, because I talk a lot with my hands and I see it, I'm like, so it's a hard thing to like I said, deconstruct what has been told about your body and how you are and what people used to deem pretty or beautiful, and it's hard, and it's not an easy thing, and I think it's a thing that takes years, because it's so like cemented into who you are. And I think the most important thing is to be patient with yourself, is to understand that you are human, you are not a robot who can recode itself in a day, in an hour, and be like, okay, cured. Like, that's not how it works. Just silence and me putting on my eyeliner. Does that look decent? I don't know. I don't want to mess it up, so I'm gonna leave it like that. Now, next tip. My next tip would be to find yourself separate from your body. And I know that sounds insane, and it does. But when I figured out who I was, regardless of how I looked, it really created this self-confidence, because I used to be I would put my whole entire worth on my body and how I looked, and that is not a good, healthy way to live. And so what I decided to do was like, okay, who is Janine? Who is Janine? Like, am I funny? Am I curious? Am I sarcastic? Am I, what am I? Who am I? And it wasn't until I understood who I was that I was like, you know what? This body, I'm in it for hopefully 80 to 90 years, and I want it to be healthy, and I want to be as the best as it can to carry me in life. And when I looked at like a vessel, or like a transportation, or like, I guess, a temple, it really changed on how I saw it, because I was more aware of being healthy than being skinny, being thin. It was just, how am I eating? What am I putting in my body? How am I treating my body? And it really does change it. And I think when you change the perspective of your body, it changes what you think. Now, I do sometimes, I don't want to say I have body dysmorphia, because I haven't been diagnosed with that, so I don't know, but sometimes there are moments where I look, like if I wear a tank top and I look at my arms, I will have that immediate thought of, oh my god, your arms are huge, they look horrible. But then I'm like, it's a work in progress. My body is a work in progress. I shouldn't hate my body because it's doing the best to take care of me. And I think it's important to put a different value on your body than what we're told by the media, by other people, by our inner circle, because it's tough. You know, I got sick and I lost a lot of weight, and a lot of people, they immediately tell me, oh, you look so much better, you look so good, you look so pretty, you look so beautiful, don't gain the weight back. And there are moments where I was totally fine with that. I was like, you know what, I do look good, but then sometimes that little voice that I've, put in a box just sprung to life and is like, well, maybe you shouldn't eat, maybe you shouldn't do, and so I think another thing is finding people in your life that support you. And it's hard to cut people out, and it's hard to ignore people and to just be like, you're not healthy for me, but it is important to do that. And sometimes even your own family, cousins, aunts, they can be detrimental to your mental health, and you shouldn't, and this is something that I tell everyone, you shouldn't have to put up with your family. Your family, just because they're blood relatives or they're relatives, that does not mean anything. People are people. People are not sunshine and rainbows, and just because you're family, that doesn't mean that they will want the best interest for you. So I think it's important to evaluate who is around you, what they add to you, what positivity they put into your life, and that they aren't dragging you down, that they aren't, like making you second guess yourself, they aren't making you think, oh, like self-conscious, because it does. And I used to surround myself with people like that because I was so desperate with friends that I would just take anyone, and people who just wanted me because, like, for money or for, what was primarily for that. Because my parents, they're very traditional Latinos. Like, if you're coming over, my parents are gonna, buy you food and stuff like that. So I had friends who would just be my friends for that reason. And it's incredibly crippling to find out at such a young age that people are your friends for money, but it's a thing. And lastly, I think the most important thing that helped me was, it's okay to have bad days. It's okay to wake up and look at yourself and be like, I can't look in the mirror. It's okay to have those days. What's not okay is to keep that dialogue in your brain. Like, if you wake up and you're like, oh, I look bad, be like, no, brain, you're just having a day. It's fine. Let yourself, the thing is with this, like, I guess, progress, it's not an uphill battle. It's not a one-way, like, it's a roller coaster. You go up, you go down, you go back, you go forth. It's not linear. And so don't beat yourself up if you go back a little in your progress, or if you had a bad day, or if you have, like, some mental, like, bad thoughts. Like, don't let that cut your progress or change, or think that you haven't changed. It's not easy. It's a long process. Like I've said, I've had 10 years of trying to train my brain to like this, and it's still hard. And it's still hard because apart from people around you telling you, oh, that's not what a woman's supposed to look like, that is not what's attractive, and then you have the media being like, oh, women should be bare everywhere. It's hard to keep this like mental, like metal barrier, being like, you know what, I'm good, I'm enough, I'm me. And so respect your journey and how long it takes you. And there's some people who, can do this in like a month, and they're like, I'm good, I got it. There's other people who are gonna be like me, 10 years in, and they're still learning. But it's important to love who you are, because each person on this planet is unique. And I know people are like, that's not true. It's true. Even if you have even though there's people, like there's doppelgangers, like there's someone who looks just like you, which one day I really hope I find a person who looks just like me, you're still unique because of your personality, because of your soul, of who you are, how you treat others. There's more to life, and it's hard, especially in this society. And when I mean society as in worldwide, that we live in. Very few societies have, I guess, evolved. And so, I don't want to ramble too much. So just learn to love yourself, because that's the most important thing. And I think it's something that will help you long term, because it's incredibly debilitating hating yourself, because no one else can fix you. but you in that aspect. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to talk to a therapist or go online or talk to other people, and just be open and be like, you know what, I have these issues. Or just tell people like, hey, this is really triggering for me, please don't mention it. Or I don't really like this, can you please stop? Like, speak up, say it. And I know me saying that like it's so easy, it's not. And even I have things that are triggering and people will still talk about them, and I just won't say it because it opens this dialogue and this conversation that I just don't want to talk about. But if you feel like you can, and you feel it's really important, to say like, you know what, I'm not comfortable with this, or can you just stop mentioning that, you know. And because you have to take into consideration and you have to put a lot of emphasis on your mental health, because I feel like it's important that everyone does that and everyone should respect that, and no one should make fun of you if you say like, can you please stop talking about my weight, or can you please stop talking about how I look, can you, you know, just like I said, it's important. One really important is to see who's around you, because like I said, I used to have friends who weren't my friends really. They were just people who, you know, they wanted to be my friend when it was convenient, when they didn't have any friends, or when they were by themselves and I was there. And that takes a toll on you, because you start thinking, oh, like I can't make friends, oh, people only like me for this and that reason, oh, I'm not worthy. And it's just like, before I finish this video, I just want to say I spent so many years that I feel like I wasted on looking for people's approval, on being someone who I wasn't, of having all these negative thoughts about myself. And I don't want to spend the rest of my life doing that. I don't want to think that I'm, you know, a monster when I look in the mirror. I want to look in the mirror and be like, that's me, that's who I am, and I can say that I'm pretty and I'm good. And like I said, it's not an update, it's not an everyday thing. Like sometimes I wake up and I'm like, but that's how it is. And so I don't want anyone out there to waste their time doing the same thing that I did for years, because when you open your eyes and you're 25, 28 and you're just like, holy shit, I spent the last 20 years hating myself, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. So just be you, be the best you can be, take in consideration who you are, and try to work on that, and do things that you love regardless if people find it cringy or laughable or whatever. You know, like people think that just because you draw you have to be perfect at it. Like, no, like I love drawing flowers and they don't look good at all, but I love doing that. And so I think it doesn't matter if it's good or bad, just do it. Draw, play an instrument. You just feed your soul and you'll love yourself for that. So I don't know why this heartfelt video, but I don't know, sometimes you kind of just wake up and you're just like, I have improved, and I'm not self-conscious to say or to like think, oh, I'm you know, being too not proud, but like too much of me, or too like egocentrical or narcissistic. Like, I have improved and I should be proud of that, and I want other people to kind of have that too. So even though this video is very long, so I hope you take whatever you can from this video, and I hope that you spend the rest of your life years happy and focusing on your soul, whatever you define as a soul.